Want to use a PGR in your cereals but have no time for a separate pass? Manipulator PGR can be applied as early as one tiller. Just add it to your herbicide to reduce lodging, increase harvest efficiency, and maximize yields. Talk to your retailer for more info and to confirm acceptable tank mixes.
Hi, Kaia. Thanks for joining us at Real Agriculture. How's your day going?
Great. Thanks so much for having me.
So, you're with AgSafe Alberta. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what your organization does?
We are the Health and Safety Association for farms and ranches across the province. So it's very agriculture specific because I know that's always a concern. No, it's not like the oil field stuff. It's ag specific, specific to not only the kind of hazards and challenges that uh, farmers face health and safety wise, but also legislatively because it's different and it's changed so much over the years. It's confusing.
Right. And then there's other AgSafe associations across Canada, right?
Exactly. Each province has, or almost each province has
Has
one.
one. Fantastic. So, we actually have you here today to talk about wildfires. There are currently 43 still burning in Alberta. However, we just got a huge bout of rain, so that should help out a lot. So, what are some of the most common fire hazards that farmers face during seeding season as we go into it right now?
So the past few years has been definitely really, really dry. So this lack of moisture sets the stage for pretty much any source of ignition to
Hmm.
potentially start a fire. So it could be something as simple as just running an ATV out, to go check on a field, and that hot exhaust or, some grass built up around the engine is all it would take. Unfortunately, equipment does occasionally ignite, like whether it's, electrical or fuel issues or whatever, but it can happen, certainly.
Are there some practices or is there some equipment that increases the risk of fires during seeding?
ATVs, UTVs, they're incredibly handy, but those hot exhausts, the hot engines, they're a definite hazard, a definite risk. One of the big things is maintenance. Now, some things kind of fall behind, so they don't get done. Sometimes it's kind of a quick fix just to get out there, get going, and maybe there's some areas where there is dust or debris built up from the previous season
Right.
that didn't get cleaned out in time, and then all it takes is, a bearing to get hot, and then there you have it.
Okay, so maintenance is a way that farmers can mitigate some of the risks. Is there anything else that you can think of off the top of your head that might help mitigate some of the risks of grass fires?
Certainly. So mitigation, simple terms, is just taking actions to reduce the severity of something. But I'm a very big proponent on prevention and planning. So, those preventative measures, I know, we can't control what other people do. We can't control the weather, but there are still things within our control that can help prevent them.
Right.
So, with the ATVs and UTVs, spark arresters, just installing spark arresters on them, to dissipate the heat, to catch, some of that combustible particles that might come out the exhaust. The equipment is, keeping up on maintenance, remembering to blow stuff out from time to time, and just being aware of potential hotspots and even just checking on them. If your property's at high risk, so perhaps you back onto crown land where there are a lot of ATVs or there's a lot of camping, putting in some kind of fire break or guard if you're able to is
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. Doing some of the kind of fire smart protocols, so removing those lower branches, getting rid of the deadfall,
Right.
you know, getting rid of all that stuff that would help a fire spread quickly and easily.
Mm-hmm.
If there's no fuel, maybe it won't start. Grazing the ditches where possible. It's a
Right.
great preventative measure. Going back to mitigation, recognizing that every farm is a little bit different, its resources, its capabilities. So again, this is where planning really comes into play, is knowing what you've got, what's available, and who's going to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And just doing like basic things like mounting fire extinguishers on your equipment where possible. If you catch something right away when it's small, you can, put it out. Mounting shovels on equipment. Just being able to smother something with the dirt, just
Right.
really small, basic things. And then getting into the bigger things like having a tractor hooked up to a disc. If you've got a disc that you can do that, great. Now, some farms, someone might be out seeding one field while somebody's out disking another. So talking to your neighbor and maybe saying, do you have one that I could just leave there just in case? I was really impressed last year during the wildfires at the way, the farming community really came together to support and help each other. So certainly, calling on each other for support where needed in that sense. And what we are seeing is similar to harvest practices where you would have like a truck with a tote of water or a tank truck out there.
Right.
People are doing that now for seeding as well. And one thing I did find out a young dairy farmer had done was, they have the liquid manure spreader. So had that ready to go with water. Like that's, a
That's
ton of water you
fantastic.
can get out there really quickly, easily, and a piece of equipment that is meant to go through spring fields.
That's fantastic. I love the idea of grazing the ditches too. I find that in Alberta, often we don't make use of that feed source because
Yeah,
not only is it a feed source, but yes, we're helping with fire control at the same time. So I think that's
exactly.
fantastic. Really good tips. Um, in the event of a fire, what are some immediate steps that producers should take?
I'll just do a kind of a plug here. First and foremost, come up with an emergency action plan before you're
Hmm.
out in the field. You always want to call 911. It can get out of hand so quickly, so fast. You want to have additional resources on the way where possible. And so if you do have a plan in place, it's putting it into action at that point. So knowing who you're going to call and calling them right away so that they know to get on the equipment that you have planned for them to bring out and use. You don't want to be making these decisions, coming up with a plan in an emergency. It's
Right.
not going to be effective. It's not going to be efficient.
That makes sense. And is there some training that producers can take when it comes to fire prevention and management? Is there anything you would recommend for that?
Absolutely. I know FireSmart is doing some stuff out in communities, definitely attending. If you've got any workshop that you can attend it. Like,
Hmm.
not all are created equal, but the takeaways are great. And I think more importantly is the discussions that occur and finding out what people have done around you, what's working for them, what's not. Like, those takeaways are fantastic. If you have the opportunity to become a volunteer firefighter in your county, do it. Like,
Hmm.
absolutely. I've done it. It's just invaluable. The stuff you learn, the way you start looking at things differently, it's great. As well, depending on kind of where you're wanting to go with this, when I talk about planning, plans don't have to be these long drawn out things. They can be really, really simple, just point form, flexible, easy to carry out. But if you're looking for some more guidance on that,
Hmm.
you can go to our website, so agsafeab.ca, and we do have the Farm Safe Plan manual and the online learning program. It's all free.
Great.
And module 7 kind of walks you through that in more detail, the considerations, the questions,
That's
resource.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And do you have any other encouragements for producers going into the field as we are, I guess a lot of us are underway seeding already, but
Yeah.
as we're moving on this season, do you have any encouragements for producers?
Absolutely. There's so many of you out there that are doing like so many phenomenal, great things. Keep doing them. Um, you often hear like there's so much we can't control, but there's so much again that we can do. There's a producer in Sundre who put in his own fire guard, spent last year, probably still working on it this year. So I need to get out there, talk to him, get some pictures, see how that's gone. There's a producer just down here in Rocky View. Their family is along a busy road, their
Hmm.
farm, and they have unfortunately had to deal with a lot of cigarette butts and stuff getting thrown outside windows, starting fires. So they're always on top of those ditches. And they've actually gone so far as to have hose line set up and ready to go. They're not
That's
messing
very
around,
proactive. Yeah.
right? Yeah, and just a lot of farms have been doing those big cleanups that maybe they've been putting off. So depending where they're at in the province, because we have had drier years, people have gotten away from some of the silage. So some of the silage pits, they don't need those extra tires and plastic, like they used to. So getting rid of some of that, doing the cleanups, getting rid of the old vehicles that, you know,
That tend
sometimes
to
get left.
collect a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, just keep doing those fantastic things. You're doing awesome.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, have a wonderful summer.
You as well. Thank you so much for having me.